For many years, a powerful empire from Europe called Britain ruled over a vast land known as India. The British were very clever rulers. They used a strategy called divide and rule. This meant they found ways to keep the different groups of people in India from uniting against them. They would often highlight the differences between people, especially their religions. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs. By pointing out what made them different, the British made it harder for them to work together. This tactic helped a few British officials control millions, but planted dangerous seeds of mistrust that grew over decades. India has always been a place of incredible diversity. People followed many different faiths. They looked at the numbers and saw that Hindus were the majority. This created a deep fear. They worried that in an independent India ruled by the majority, their voices would not be heard. This fear was not just about religion, it was also about power and opportunity. As the desire for freedom grew stronger, Indians began to organize themselves into political groups. The first major group was the Indian National Congress, formed in 1885. At first, it aimed to give educated Indians a greater say in how the country was run. The Congress claimed to speak for all Indians, regardless of their religion. Many famous leaders, including Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, they dreamed of a single unified secular India, where people of all faiths could live together as equals. However, not all Muslims felt that the Congress truly represented them. The fears of being a minority in a Hindu-dominated country led to the creation of a separate political party. In 1906, the All India Muslim League was formed. Its main purpose was to protect the rights and interests of Muslims in India. They asked for things like separate electorates, which meant Muslims would vote for their own candidates, ensuring they had representation. The idea of a separate homeland for Muslims did not appear overnight. The leader who became most associated with this demand was Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Initially, Jinnah was a member of the Congress and believed in Hindu-Muslim unity. But as time went on, he became convinced that Muslims would never be treated fairly in a united India. He left the Congress and became the most powerful leader of the Muslim League. This led to the famous Lahore Resolution in 1940. The political landscape of India was now split, with two major parties heading in two very different directions. The world was thrown into chaos with the start of World War II in 1939. Britain needed India's help to fight the war. They needed Indian soldiers. They needed resources. They needed money. This gave Indian leaders a lot of bargaining power. The Indian National Congress was willing to support Britain, but only if they were promised complete independence immediately after the war. The British refused to make such a promise during the conflict. In protest, the Congress launched the Quit India movement in 1942. The British responded by arresting thousands of Congress leaders, Gandhi, Nehru. While the Congress leaders were in jail, the Muslim League used this time to its advantage. With its main political rival out of the picture, the League grew much stronger. His party spread the message for a separate nation, Pakistan, more easily. By the time World War II ended in 1945, Britain was exhausted. The British Empire was crumbling. The British people had elected a new government sympathetic to Indian independence. They no longer had the money. The clock was ticking, and a solution had to be found quickly. They proposed plans for a power-sharing agreement. After years of growing mistrust, neither side could agree. A wave of terrible violence erupted. The decision to divide India was made in a great hurry. Lord Mountbatten announced the British would leave by August 1947. A British lawyer named Cyril Radcliffe, who had never been to India before, was given the impossible job of drawing the new borders. He had only 5 weeks to divide the provinces of Punjab and Bengal, separating millions of Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs. The new lines he drew, known as the Radcliffe Line, cut right through villages, farms and even houses, creating the new countries of India and Pakistan. The borders were kept secret until 2 days after independence was declared. When the new borders were finally revealed, chaos and horror followed. Millions of people discovered they were on the wrong side of the line. They traveled by foot, in overcrowded trains, and on bullock carts, desperately trying to reach the safety of the other side. Mobs, fueled by religious hatred and fear, attacked the caravans of refugees. Fearing for their lives, people abandoned their homes and everything they owned. Millions more were left homeless, becoming refugees in their own ancestral land. It is estimated that up to 2 million people were killed in the violence of partition. The tragedy created deep wounds of trauma and bitterness between the people of India and Pakistan, scars that have not fully healed even to this day. The legacy of partition continues to shape the relationship between India and Pakistan. The two nations have fought several wars since 1947. One of the biggest points of conflict is the region of Kashmir. Its ruler was Hindu, but its population was mostly Muslim, and both India and Pakistan claimed it. This dispute remains unresolved and is a major source of tension. In summary, the split happened because of a mix of factors: British divide and rule policies, deep-seated religious fears, the failure of political leaders to agree, and the urgent demand for a Muslim homeland. But this political decision came at an immense human cost, creating a legacy of conflict that still affects millions of lives today. It was a brutal price to pay for freedom. Remembering partition is not just about history. It is about honoring those who suffered and learning how to prevent such divisions. The past shapes the present. Understanding it helps build a better future. In summary, India and Pakistan separated because of religious divisions deepened by colonial policies, political rivalries, failure of power sharing between Hindu and Muslim leaders, and the growing demand for a Muslim homeland. Partition was seen as the only way to resolve these tensions, but it came at a devastating human cost.